What the fuck is functional? All right, so here's going to be today's topic in this kind of off the cuff trainer talk here. So I just went for my walk and I was listening to a podcast and they touched on this kind of functional thing. And it's been something that, I've had in my mind and I have these kind of rants about it and stuff like that. So I just kind of want to get it out there because it is this kind of weird, broad, nebulous term that people use to kind of somewhat gatekeep on what fitness should or shouldn't look like and exercise should and shouldn't look like and stuff like that. And for me, who's been doing this now professionally for 13 going on 14 years, a lot of people honestly are kind of missing the forest for the trees. They don't understand what function means or could mean, et cetera, et cetera. So me, and this, I'm just gonna be honest, this is my dick side. It's just like once I hear some, oh, that's not functional, then I'm just like, I somewhat instantly write you off and just are like, okay, that's where you're at in your kind of career. You don't fully grasp and understand these things and understand the definition of function and et cetera, et cetera. So first off, let's just kind of read. So I just Googled functional of or having a special activity, purpose, or task relating to the way in which something works or operates. Number two is designed to be practical and useful rather than attractive. She had assumed the apartment would be functional and simple. There are important functional differences between left and right brain. So as you can see just by the definition, it still is a very kind of broad thing, which then that makes it kind of quite hard to define and which makes it tricky. And again, why, if you go up to 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, a billion, whatever different coaches, trainers, they might have all have a slightly different definition on, again, just how they would define functional, and then how they would, I guess, kind of categorize things from more or less function, or if they would even do so. Because in my opinion, everything is context dependent. And I think everything that you'll do at any gym, any class, any form of fitness is functional in some sort of way. And that's why it's like, you can give me any type of exercise, any type of training modality, any type of training quality, anything. And I guarantee you, I could list out reasons that make it functional. And if I wanted to play the other side of the coin or whatever, I can list out reasons why it's not functional. But kind of first off here is, what is the fucking task at hand? What is the objective of said, again, if we're just taking an exercise, all right? And then also, again, what is your version of functional? What does that mean? So I think most people, they're going to say, does it look like the things that we do in life? Okay? And I can understand that, again, as kind of a knee-jerk response of like, all right, well, a bench press doesn't look all that much like a task that we're doing on a daily basis. I remember I had this was a personal training class I took, Jesus Christ, 2010, something like that. And even he would joke, like, was a refrigerator going to get stuck on you? And it's like, I wish I knew what I know now, because I'd be like, dude, that again, you're missing the point. If we're taking like a bench press and something like that, yes, it probably doesn't look like a task that we're doing on a frequent basis. Other than, well, if you're on the floor and you have to get off the floor, okay, you're going to push yourself up. The counter would be like, why do you not just do a push-up? And yes, that is a more specific skill set and skill acquisition to pushing yourself up the floor. But the goal is of a bench press is just some sort of horizontal pressing strength, some sort of stimulus there. And again, when we're talking about driving any type of stimulus, any type of adaptation, gaining strength, gaining muscle mass to any position, any biomechanics, so it doesn't matter if we're just loading this or loading this or loading this, I think it's functional because we're building tissue, we're building strength, we're building tolerance to all these different positions and stuff like that. So I think there will be carryover to anything that you're doing in this, like this, in life. Now, is a push-up a better skill set? So if I'm training someone that specifically we're trying to get off the floor, is that a better use of your time for that individual skill set? Sure. But what does that mean? Does that mean that's the only thing that you're going to do, or you're not going to have any other accessory work or secondary, tertiary things that can also assist and help with those movements? And that's what I mean by when you're kind of missing the forest through the trees type of deal, is like you're getting way too specific and don't understand that some of these broad adaptations that we're looking for that will have carry over to life. So let's kind of get back on topic of functional, and you'll start to kind of see as I'm explaining all these differences why it does make it kind of tricky. And it does make it somewhat kind of undefinable when we're talking about selecting exercises or loading patterns or rep ranges or tempo or blah, 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 blah. Because I think all of these are useful skill sets and there's useful adaptations of everything that we do. And it does not necessarily have to look exactly like life is looking, okay? So kind of getting back on track here. No, I do not think that it has to look exactly like life to make it functional. Because again, we're chasing all these different qualities. So let's take something like a preacher curl, for example. You know, curls are something that probably people would say it's the least functional. Okay, well, if I'm working with Barbara that doesn't have a lot of elbow flexion strength and that's affecting her wrist, that's affecting her elbow, maybe it's even affecting her shoulder, it's giving her tendonitis, blah, 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 blah. Well, by doing so, we could have increased the quality of those tissues that got her out of any pain or discomfort. Maybe she had issues with pulling exercises or things like that. Is that not functional in some way, shape, or form? Sure. So, and this is why it's hard, and it's like I can define anything as being functional or not being functional. So for that individual client, and this is again why context matters, that was extremely functional when we were just trying to, again, get some quality back into her elbow joint so she's not in any pain or discomfort when she wants to flex her elbow, or maybe it's to supinate her elbow. So I have used these exercises that, again, if you just walked in the gym, you're like, why is Chase doing a preacher curl? You don't have enough context to know that this is actually low-hanging fruit when it comes to like the things and skill sets and the movements that they're doing in life. She had elbow pain, we're doing this to help attack said elbow pain, boom. There it is, it's functional, okay? And then let's take a lower body exercise, all right? So most people would probably deem that we need to do some sort of squatting pattern, okay? That is gonna be more functional than a hack squat, than a leg press, et cetera, et cetera. And again, what is the goal? What is the outcome that we are seeking? Is it to become a better squatter, or maybe it's just to kind of just drive some broad adaptations where it's like, you know what, we're not honed into one little thing, meaning we don't want just a very quad bias movement. We just want this integrated pattern that we do on a daily basis, like squatting, and we just want to kind of overload that and get better at it. Then I think that's awesome. Again, if there is that thought process and context behind it, which dictates what exercise we're going to choose, I think that's great, okay? Now, if the goal is a bodybuilder to overload and to drive as much adaptations and drive as much force production from their quads, do I think a free weight barbell back squat is going to be the best and even maybe even defining the most functional for them in the task at hand? And the goal is like pretty objectively no, you know? I think for that individual, putting them on a leg press, putting them on a hack squat or some sort of pendulum squat would be better for the outcome that they are seeking. Because objectively, when you are increasing stability demands and you have a little bit more constraints, you are able to drive more output from the targeted tissue. So does that mean one is less or more functional? Again, I don't think so, because it depends on the task. For Susie, where it's just like we're trying to understand the squat pattern, we're trying to learn it, we're trying to grease this groove and get stronger here, yeah, probably that free weight squat is a better route. For the bodybuilder who's trying to bias the squats, I think that's probably going to be a bit more functional for them. But this is, again, going back to how are we defining function? What is the outcome we're seeking? What is the task at hand? And you have to also remember, like when I'm talking about these constraints and stability, because some person, I was thinking about this for a sec, they're thinking it, saying it, maybe they're typing, it's like, well, if you don't, if you have problems balancing on a squat, then you have other issues and stuff like that. And it's like, again, you're missing the point. And I think you need to get slightly more experienced and educated with client's biomechanics and physics and stuff like that. Objectively, a hack squat, you are able to drive more force production into the quads than a barbell back squat. You have to understand that balance and stability is based on a continuum. So on this side over here, You might have this circus act of someone balancing on a Bosu ball while riding a unicorn on ice, okay? All the balance in the world and stability in the world. Obviously, they're not going to be able to drive a high level of output from their legs, okay? Because they'll slip and fall. So your nervous system's going to kind of down-regulate force production, so it's not going to be great for fucking gains. It's going to be great for that individual skill set, sure, but not for driving a lot of strength, muscle mass, etc., from all those lower body muscles and stuff. On the other side, you have something that's fully constrained, again, and even more than a leg press and stuff like that, because every single joint that's not moving would be locked in. You know, you'd basically be a cast. Everything would be casted, and you would be entirely stable, just not your hips, knees, whatever. And again, which one is better or less or more functional? And again, that's where it's like, it very much depends on the task at hand. So anyway, watch out for these functional charlatans and these gatekeepers of that's not functional, because again, I just think they're lacking kind of experience and in a knowledge base and an understanding around fitness and exercises, and how, again, the specific task will kind of determine less or more function. Context fucking matters, please. And this is why I even try to save my judgment if I see a coach or if I see someone, because I don't know exactly what's going on. So you might see something like a fucking wrist curl and be like, why the hell were they worried about forearm hypertrophy, like, for this lady? And it's like, well, maybe she has tolerance issues to flexion. Maybe she has carpal tunnel. Maybe these things have really helped restore function within their wrist and has helped their hand and their elbow and stuff like that too, okay? So this is where it's very easy to throw shade or cast judgment on something that you're just seeing a snapshot of when you don't have full context of what they're going on. So please just remember this. And again, I think everything can be functional. I don't care if it's machines, if it's free weights, if it's going for walks, if it's doing cardio, if it's doing fitness classes, if it's doing Zumba. Again, I can argue some amazing points on why all of those are functional. And if you want to even like challenge me and drop some stuff below, and I guarantee I can think of different functions of, you name an exercise, I can think of reasons, or based on my experience of seeing coaches do it for reasons that you might not think, because I think a lot of us just think, oh, he's doing a curl for bodybuilding. It's like, well, there could be function at the elbow, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if this is going to make sense. I need to get a little bit more structured with these, because I feel like I just jump around. But again, this is just a little inside of my brain and just kind of an off the cuff thing that I'm just thinking about. So there's my little spiel on functional, whatever the fuck that means. So let me know what you think below. I'm going to stop it here. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, or if there's another topic that you want me to just kind of rant on, leave them below, because I can rant about pretty much anything. All right, guys.